Why don't you just do a quick check-in, like who you are, what you're about, and what your intention for the call is, and then maybe share a little bit about our relationship and what the purpose of the call.
Okay, I'm going to hit record now.
Okay.
Hey everyone, Ellen Jackson here, Team Jackson 5, and one of my most favorite people in the world is on the call with us today. Greg probably didn't know I was going to say that, but you are Greg.
Okay.
Greg changed my life in so many ways. He has 25 years of coaching experience, including life and business, and we are so lucky to have him speak to us today a little bit about all different kinds of topics, but and I'll let him get into that because we have I want you guys to participate as well and tell us what you'd like to hear about, what areas you're struggling in, and it all does relate back to your life in one way or another and how you approach things in life. So Greg Cloudmiser is going to get on right now and share with us some of his insights, his just genius insights, different ways of thinking about things and going about it, and how to do different things with your business that's a little bit more unique than we just hear from our corporate trainings and other Rodan & Fields consultants. So
cool.
Thank you so much.
Awesome, great. I'm stoked to be here with you guys. Hi, everybody. So I was just talking with someone yesterday, one of my clients, and how many of you have heard that the number one greatest fear people have? Everybody heard the number one fear? And that the fear is going on stage and speaking, right? That's kind of like the known, the standard, that, people have a fear of going up on stage and speaking is greater than people dying. So in other words, people would rather die than have to speak. All right? Now, I have a little different take on that with our culture and everything being so digital these days, where people are on their phones and Facebook and all that. And I'm going to suggest that fear has seeped into individuals where they're actually afraid to reach out and talk to people. Forget about getting up on a stage or not, but to just reach out and talk to another business person, to reach out to talk to my dentist, my babysitter, my massage person, whatever it is, that people have their greatest fear has moved from going to speaking on a stage to just speaking to friends and family and people that they run into every day. So how many of you can relate to that? Does that seem relevant? If you can, just raise your hand, show me. Okay. So I'm not completely off base here. All right? Would you agree? Okay. So to me, I think that's a real problem if I'm trying to grow a business. Wouldn't you agree? If I'm stuck at my own front door and I can't get out the front door to go out and meet people or talk to people, that would be a real problem. Now, I want to suggest that it's a big problem for everyone. It's a really big problem for everyone. Whether you're a consultant, whether you own your own business, whether you're an employee or a sales rep, or whether you're retired, everybody seems to be struggling with the same thing, and I just call it reach outs. So I've worked with a large range of populations and people, from stay-at-home moms to CEOs and billionaires, for that matter. Now, one of the interesting things is that as somebody, I want to speak to people that are retired. People who are retired still need to reach out, okay? And the reason why is that they become lonely and their lives become small. So I'm not talking about reaching out just to sell anything. I'm talking about reaching out just to connect with people. Does that make any sense to you guys? Okay? Mm-hmm. I'm going to suggest the more you reach out, the better you feel. The more you reach out, the better you feel, and the easier it becomes to reach out to people. Okay? So that's kind of one of the big ideas I want to talk about here. Now, what would prevent somebody from standing up on stage and speaking, or what would get in the way of somebody going out and reaching out? Now that's really of interest to me. So any ideas? Let's hear from you guys. What is it that gets in the way for people to go on stage, or what is it that gets in the way for people to do what they know they need to do for their own well-being as well as grow their business? So who would like to share? Jennifer? Yeah.
I would have to say that confidence is probably one of the biggest reasons that people are do that.
Confidence?
Yep, or lack thereof, I should say.
That's really great. That's really great. Now let's talk about that for just a second, Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
Where does confidence come from?
From inside.
Yeah.
From inside.
Yeah. Now, was that just a good guess, or do you know that to be true?
Oh, I've been doing a lot of research on myself recently. So.
Okay, good. Now, what's really interesting about this, Jennifer, is that each year I often have a theme or a word for the year. And there was one year where confidence was my theme. Okay? Because I figured, if I had confidence, unshakable confidence, the world's mine. I'm no dummy. I figured that's kind of, if you got confidence, you become unstoppable, you're more resilient. It's like, if it doesn't go my way, it's like you bounce right back, and it's like adversity is like it's like a water rolling off a duck's back, so to speak. So much like you, I knew that there was really something here. Okay? Now, what I didn't know, and I had an innocent misunderstanding, is I thought confidence was something that I had to cultivate. Okay? I thought it was something that I didn't have, that I had to get. Okay? Now, I can see your head nod. Now here's the thing. You're absolutely right. Confidence is within. But it's not something that's missing right now that you're going to get in there. It already is there. Now the question is, what's getting in the way with it? What's...
Kind of like you have to pull all the papers and the books off, okay, so the confidence can come up.
Yeah. And so what I've learned, and what I really can't emphasize enough, is to understand two things. That who all of us are already, within us, is confidence. Okay? Unshakable confidence. The confidence that a 2-year-old can dance and sing, and if you ask them to, can they draw, they say absolutely. If you ask them if they can sing, they say heck yes. Just brimming confidence. That's within all of us. Okay? Now the question is, what are these books, and clutter that get in the way? All right? Well, these books and clutter are simply one thing. It's our thinking. That's it. And when we see that, it really, just the fact of seeing that seems to really make a big difference in terms of correcting itself. When I can continue to come back to the fact of the matter that confidence is already within me, and the only thing that's interfering with that is my insecure thinking in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, that's step one. Step two is I have to have a deeper understanding around thought. Okay? See, most people, myself included, I figured if I have thought that's in the way, and that's interfering, I just need better thoughts. And innocently, I thought, if I just had better thoughts, I'd be more confident. Okay? And I'm going to suggest to you that's not how it works. Better thoughts just mean you have more thoughts. Okay? Better thoughts. But it's just more books. It's a book that you happen to prefer. Okay? It's a preferential thought. Now, if we can just slow down enough and start seeing the fact that we have thoughts, and that they're either an insecure thought or even a better thought, that nonetheless those thoughts are that are interfering with my confidence, and that if I can learn to not get involved with my thoughts, that the thoughts actually pass on their own. And every time a thought passes, there's a small gap between the next thought. All right? Now, what happens is our confidence lives between those thoughts. That's where it happens. That's why, I was talking with some friends who are athletes, and they're talking about being in the zone or being in flow. And every time you ask them when you're in flow or you're in the zone, you ask them, are you thinking? They say no. Their mind is calm, it's clear. So you could also say that not only is confidence within all of us, but so is clarity. Okay? But see, I used to think clarity had something to do with thought. Like I'd have a clear thought and I could focus on that thought. I don't see it that way anymore. Clarity is actually having a clear sky with no thoughts. And so what I mean by a clear sky with no thoughts is that there's no clouds in the sky. Okay? Now, that parting of the clouds, if you will, that happens on its own. But if I start getting involved with the clouds and start making something of them, okay, my confidence can't get through. All right? Is this making any sense to you? Okay. All right.
This makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So, thoughts, comments, insights. How did that land for you? What did you get out of that?
For me or everyone?
Yeah, you, Jennifer.
That it's not that just what you had just said with your thoughts. Okay, yeah, your thoughts then therefore now clutter your ability to build that confidence and see clearly. Because you're so focused on clearing those thoughts and getting those thoughts more into a positive note that you're losing focus of that clear sky.
Yeah. So this is really good news to me. This should be good news to everybody on the call, is that confidence isn't something for you to go get in the next seminar, workshop, or in a book, or whatever it is. That confidence already lives within each of us. Okay? This is great news. Okay? Now the only thing I need to learn is how my mind works and understand the relationship with thoughts, and to refrain from getting too involved with my thinking. Okay? You could say learn to ignore my thinking, quite frankly, or learn to leave my thinking alone. All right? So I know Ellen and I talked right before the call. She sent me a text. She said, "Oh, Greg, I'm riddled with fear right now. I'm really anxious. I'm not, this and that." And I called her up. I said, "Hey, don't worry about it. We got this." And, Ellen is a very confident person. But what creeped in 30 minutes before the call was some insecure thinking. Like she did something wrong or wasn't prepared enough. These are all thoughts. There's nothing real about that. But once we spoke to it, I said, "Ellen, this is perfect. I'm going to be talking about fear and overcoming our fear and our fear of failures and all of that. And this is really perfect, Ellen, because you're now a shining example of somebody who really lives from a very confident and secure and powerful place. And even somebody who's a leader, and myself included, I have these fearful, insecure thoughts that seem to creep in at last minute, right before it's time to go on stage or something like that. So it's really normal. Now, the only difference between Ellen and myself in that moment is she forgot that they're thoughts. And she started to get involved with them, and they started to mean something, okay? And all I did was, without even really being direct with her, because I understand that she's just having some insecure thinking in the moment, and I'm not getting too involved with it, those clouds passed for her, okay? Now, this is really, really important as a consultant, okay? Because when you're working with people, if you understand the nature of fear and that it's connected with thought for yourself, it's also connected with that for everyone else that you meet, okay? And in fact, if you get involved with trying to fix or solve somebody else's fear, what you're doing is you're doing a rain dance with them and keeping the clouds there. The best thing you can do is understand this and understand that they're just having an insecure thought about money or the business or about what their husband's going to say or what their friends are going to say. If you just understood that and not give it any attention and understand that they're just having an insecure thought, and maybe even share with them, I had a lot of insecure thoughts about getting into this business, and I had to hear the business 2 or 3 times before I even would get involved with it, because I had a lot of insecure thinking about it. Okay? This is really helpful and helps you build rapport, okay, and helps you have a level of affinity with anyone, just because you understand the nature of fear and that it always lives with an insecure thought. Okay? So I'm just gonna pause here for a moment and let that soak in and see if anybody has any comments or questions about anything.
Well, the other thing that to me too, Greg, which I thought was so awesome, is that when you make it not okay, then it's not okay. When you make it okay, then it's okay. And it was such a simple thing. Like, I thought it was not okay that I was showing up like not completely prepared. And I'm going, this is just not okay as a leader. I shouldn't be coming into this, meeting not as prepared as I should be. And these are all these thoughts that are going through my mind. You're like, well, if you think it's not okay, then you're right. It's not okay. But if you think it's okay, then it's okay. I'm like, you know what? It is okay. This call is going to be fantastic, regardless.
Yeah, great. So let me speak to that just a little bit. I see this in working with a lot of people in different domains. Like, as human beings, and myself included, I struggled so much of my life thinking that I wasn't okay. And that if only this happened, then I'd be okay. And everybody has their if only this, okay? So you could say, if I had this degree in my education, then I'd be okay.
Right.
Or if I was in a relationship, then I'd be okay. Or if I was a certain level of achievement, then I'd be okay. The insanity around that, and what I see now, is that my okayness always lived in the future somewhere. Okay? And I was always trying to get okay. All right? And I get this a lot with people. I mentor other coaches, and other coaches really struggle with feeling like they're a fraud. Or I even work with attorneys or other professionals. They feel like they're a fraud, like somebody's going to find out that they're not okay, or that they don't know something. All right? Now, this is common with so many people, is they think that, I need to go get more training first. Okay, then I'll be okay. All right? Now, each one of you, you're going to have people on your teams, even yourself, you're going to go, well, I can't do a home presentation because I don't know enough yet. Well, that's just another way of saying I'm not okay. All right? Or you could say, I can't do that yet because I still don't understand the compensation plan. All right? So that's another way of saying, well, I'm not okay. All right? I'm going to suggest that you're all okay right with where you're at, even if you don't understand something. Okay? And that if you started living from that place, like, I have fear and I'm still okay. All right? So we all have fear, But some people make it mean something, and it runs them, and it robs them of their success. Does that make sense to anybody? Yeah? Okay. So, I had an insight around okayness. To me, it really means something. And if I could convey that to you guys, and if you could see what I saw, it's like winning the lotto. And what I mean by that is, when I saw that I'm okay all the time, no matter what, it was better than anything I could imagine, because I had been striving for being superior, not okay. But I'm going to suggest that being okay is a much better prize than trying to be superior. I can't explain it, but it's like I had this insight that being okay is really an amazing insight, an amazing understanding, an amazing experience. And it outweighs trying to be superior and better. Okay? And there's a freedom of being okay that you just can't get to move by. Now, the deeper I look at this, to be superior, I've got to keep that going. That's a lot of work to keep that going. All right? But if I'm always okay, there's real freedom and peace of mind there. All right. Anybody else have any comments, thoughts, questions? No? Okay. All right.
I do.
Okay.
Greg?
Yeah.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Monique, hi.
Hi, Monique.
Thank you so much for your time in doing this.
Of course.
Okay, so yes, there is definitely that confidence in the mind. How do you get beyond the physical actions? Like when I get up and speak, those jitters, even though how many times I prep myself that I am not going to get jitters. I already know this. I know it. And then I see that room of people and it just instantly kicks in. Like there's no self-control of stopping that physical aspect. How do you get beyond that?
A little bit of shakes, Monique, like a little bit of a shake.
Yeah.
Like it's beyond shakes.
Well,
it's like
the tremor.
Yeah. Well, I just did a live call on this yesterday or a couple days ago on my page, on my fan page, and I spoke to the fact that Monique, that I know quite a few professional speakers, and they share the same thing that you're sharing right now, and so it's understanding the myth of confidence, or maybe the myth of conquering or overcoming fear. All right? Fear is always going to be there. It's part of the human experience. A lot of speakers that I know, professional, high-paid speakers, they have the same thing. Many of them get sick to their stomach, and then they go out there, and then afterwards you ask them, how did it go? They go, oh man, it was great. I feel great. I really feel like I made a difference, or whatever it is. And you always ask them afterwards, how did it go? And it's an entirely different person, But right before going on stage, that's really common. Now, the other example I have is that, I'm a martial artist, and I know a lot of fighters, cage fighters and martial artists. And it's also common among prize fighters and big fighters that right before they go into the ring, they're very confident. They can kick ass and take names, and half these guys are throwing up in the locker room before they go in. It's just their nerves have the best of them. That's a real physical thing. So here's the innocent misunderstanding, is that your fears aren't anything to conquer and eliminate. That's part of the human experience. And if you can just embrace your humanity, okay, and understand that's part of it. Of being fear and having those sensations and having that phenomena, and you just welcome it, and that it's just insecure thought thinking, oh my God, how am I going to do? Are people going to like me? Or whatever it is, am I prepared enough? That's all the scripts, all the thinking that's going through, but it's so subtle we don't see it. It just shows up in our body as fear and anxiety. But what happens once you start to understand that fear cannot live without thought. In fact, any human experience is grounded in thought. And if we come to understand that, okay, that's the first step, is understanding it's just thought. The second is to understand that all thought is transitory, means it passes like clouds, all right? So you're probably not experiencing that fear and those physical sensations right now, I'm guessing, right? Okay, so that speaks to the fact that your thoughts are transitory, okay? Now, here's the thing, you're at work right now, okay? I can see it in the background. Now, at work, you probably go through all kinds of different experiences, frustrated, maybe discouraged, happy, sad, unappreciated, or, winning, or whatever it is. If you understand that those experiences that you're going through on a daily basis, all of us are grounded in our thoughts and thinking, okay? That it has nothing to do with somebody being loud in the cubicle next door that's irritating you. It has nothing to do with that. That once we start to understand the human experience is always self-generated from the inside out, my thinking. We're always feeling our thinking in the moment, whether we're about to go on stage or we're doing our day jobs or we're raising kids, I mean, this was really powerful for me as a parent, It really looked like my son was annoying the crap out of me, okay? Well, not really when I started to understand this. It was my thinking about him or my judgment about him or my expectations around him that was creating my distress, okay? Now, when I saw that, it changed my parenting, okay? Because I stopped trying to control him so I could feel better, okay? I realized I could feel better in the moment because I'm creating my experience via my own thinking. And it has nothing to do with him, okay? Now imagine that when you're working with people, okay? This understanding helps us become what I call discouraged proof in business, okay? When you understand it has nothing to do with another person, nobody rejects you at all. We have thoughts about being rejected. And when we have thoughts about being rejected, when I have a thought about feeling rejected, it doesn't feel good. It puts me in a really low mood. And I don't want to do anything. And I don't want to reach out. I don't want to talk to anybody. Okay? But when I can see into the very nature that it had nothing to do with somebody saying no to me or rejecting me, that it was me holding the thought and creating and adding fuel to the fire of rejection, the idea of rejection, that's the key, the idea of rejection, that then it starts to grow and build within me, okay? Like when you water a plant, it grows. When you stop watering the plant, it dies off. And it's the same thing with our thoughts. If I have a thought about it being hard, or if I have a thought of rejection, and I water that thought, it will grow. All right? And then the world starts to look and has to look like the world is full of rejection. Okay? All right? And then I get to be right, and that thinking creates my world. All right? But when people start to realize, when I saw this, when I saw the fact that nobody's rejecting me, I'm holding on to an idea of rejection, and I'm watering that idea, okay? Then I just get to sit around and quote unquote play safe and not take any risk or whatever it is, okay? So that was probably a real long-winded response to your fear, but I hope it helped. Did that help you, Monique? Okay, great.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. You're welcome. You have any other questions? Anything you'd like to add, Monique?
No, that was a lot to chew on. I got to swallow that for a little bit. Thank you.
Okay. Got it. Cool. Anybody else? Comments, questions, thoughts, insights? All right, let me look at my notes here. So, one of the things I wanted to share with you guys is, or not share with you, but really invite you into, is what is your role? Okay, what is your role? Now, Ellen, you just shared with me that there's a couple people that showed up in the last 24 hours, that wanted to get back involved in the business. Okay, what do you call those people?
Well, I had one person want to reignite her business, and I had a new person come on in the same week.
Yeah.
And I was telling Greg that I was going to use that time to prepare for this call, and instead I used that time to train new consultants, essentially. And so it made me feel like I wasn't utilizing my time properly, which is not what we coach as leaders, as we talk about scheduling your time for your work. And then I felt like I could have probably taken time away from something else to work on this, and I did it. So I got so lost in all of my thoughts on this and how I wasn't showing up as enough, when in reality, you all are here listening and getting value out of this. And, as a leader, I just want to feel like I'm providing value for my team and providing my team with insights and different ways of doing things. And so when, this morning when I woke up and I said, man, I'm just not as prepared, I just kept kind of beating myself up about it. And then I realized, this is my role as a leader to share this part of it with you. Because I wasn't going to tell any of you all of this. I was just going to go on like I had been prepared for this and all of that stuff. But that's not real. So that's the part that I'm really focusing on, is just being, as authentic as I can be as a leader, so you know that I'm a real person. I'm imperfect too. I'm not going to stand up here on a pedestal and pretend like I'm doing everything perfectly. I'm making mistakes. I'm a human being, not a robot. And sometimes I see that in this business, and people just kind of go robotically, and they think that's the way to lead because they don't want anyone to see that they make mistakes.
Yeah. So I have a question. Did you ever do it robotically in the past?
No, because that's not my nature. But I think I probably pretended to.
Okay, got it. Yeah, nice. So you just said that your role as a leader, and that you're really kind of helping onboarding some consultants. Okay, so what I would suggest is all of you are probably sharing very similar roles as leaders, okay, as consultants and as coaches, right? That I'd see that as your role. Would you guys agree that those are your roles? Yes? Yeah? Anybody see it differently? Okay. So I want to speak to the role of consultant for a moment. Okay? And I'm going to guess that some of you lose sight of that role, or maybe even don't even know what it really means. Okay? So I'm going to suggest that a consultant that's working a business is generating leads and opportunities and conversations. How many of you would agree? Okay. If you're a consultant and you're not doing that, what are you? Unemployed. Okay? All right? So, I would suggest that you're all consultants, but I want you to be wildly successful consultants, not unemployed consultants. So, does that make sense? Okay. So that means that for you to start imagining that you're waking up every morning with a hat called consultant. Okay? And now, what is the role of a consultant? Well, to find opportunities in which your skills can help serve another individual or company or whatever it is. So that's your role, is to go out and find opportunities where you can serve people. How many of you would agree? Yeah? Okay. So if you're not doing that, you're headed to the unemployment office, from my point of view. Okay? So that is a function of being a consultant, or you could even say a coach. You know, there's a lot of people these days that are coaches because the bar of entry is so low. Okay? But you're not a coach in my mind unless you have clients. Okay? You could say you're not a consultant unless you have a team or clients. All right? So make sure that you really embrace and wear this hat of a consultant. Okay? Now, I want to go a little bit deeper. A consultant's primary job is to go out and meet people. And in order to find an opportunity, you have to assess the situation. Okay? So a consultant's primary job, at least from my point of view, is to go out and assess. All right? So anybody have any questions about anything I've said so far? Okay. So now the question is, well, what is assessment? Well, assessment is you're engaging them and asking them what's going on in their world, what's going on in their business. You know, if I was a business consultant, it's like, tell me about the business, tell me about revenue, tell me about sales, tell me about your team, tell me about morale. I want to know. I'm just really curious. I'm assessing. Yes? Okay? Now, it's the same thing as consultants. Now, you know, I woke up this morning, or last night, I was thinking about this call and you guys, and the way I see it is you guys are lifestyle consultants. Okay? Best I can tell. In many ways, I'm the same thing. I'm a business consultant and a lifestyle consultant. All right? Now, if you're a lifestyle consultant, wouldn't it be important for you to assess what other people thought was a high quality life for them? If you're a consultant, okay? Because a consultant wants to go in and assess the situation. They may or may not be able to help this person, but they're not going to know until they assess the situation. Yes? Okay? So if I'm a lifestyle consultant, I'd probably want to know about your life. You know, how's it going? What's working? What's not working? You know, tell me a dream that you haven't given up on yet. You know, you might ask them about their family. You might ask them about their health. You might ask them about their friends and family, and you might ask them about community. You might ask them about their own personal growth. You might ask them about their self-image and how they feel about themselves. You might ask them about their self-esteem. You know, you might ask them about a million different things, right? Okay? Now, there's no right way to do this. It's more of a commitment to assess an individual and their situation, right? Okay? Now, I'm going to suggest that if you do really good assessment and you don't try to sell anybody anything, two things are going to happen. You're going to create a high level of rapport and affinity, okay, which is important. Why? Because people do business with people they like, know, and trust. Okay, so you've developed rapport and affinity. Okay. The second thing is you're going to hear, because of your great listening, you're going to hear openings for people. You're going to hear their problems, their pains, their frustrations, and their dreams about what they hope is possible for them. Okay? And only after proper assessment do you go in and maybe advocate or offer an opportunity or a solution. Is this making any sense to you guys? Okay? So if you got nothing out of this call, I want all of you to see yourself as professional consultants. And walk like that, and talk like that, and act like that. Okay? And real consultants, from my point of view, aren't out there trying to sell anybody. The greatest consultants give first and take last. Okay? They give more of themselves and their time and their energy and their listening and their presence. Okay? So be willing to get in there and give and assess and find out what people's problems, pain, and possibilities are. Okay? Now, a really good consultant, from my point of view, always leaves a meeting with people in a high mood of possibility. Okay? So, it might say, given what we've talked about here today, what do you guys see possible for yourself as consultants, knowing that confidence is already within you? Okay? Knowing that there's nothing here for you to sell, just go out and assess people and really show up and serve people deeply. Given where we're at in the conversation, what do you see possible for you here? Okay? And you go, wow. And the conversation around fear, it's like, well, yeah, I've got fear. It doesn't really matter. Always have fear of approaching somebody or asking for a phone number or, asking somebody to dance. It's all the same thing. Okay? But given the conversation we've had here, and now you know that it's just an insecure thought in that moment, and you ignore it, and you go and you meet with people. And you assess. Okay? Again, if you got nothing out of this, just focus on assessing. Now, in order to really be good at assessing, what helped me is every morning I would make a list of 10 questions to ask people, just to get in the habit of that. Okay? You see, most of us are so busy trying to come up with an answer to a problem we think people have, rather than ask them a good question to get the problem or the situation on the table. Okay? So that would be a homework assignment for each of you just over the course of the next week. As a lifestyle consultant, what questions would you need answered to make your job really easy for you? Okay? And there's no right way to do this. It's just getting in the habit of asking questions and getting in the habit of cultivating questions. Something I learned a long time ago is, when I go and listen to speakers and trainers and all that, most people are taking notes and writing down the content of the seminar. And some of you may even be doing that now. But what I did is I would write down the questions the facilitator was asking. Okay? Because that's where the magic is. Okay? The magic is in the question, it's not in the content. Okay? So I really can't stress this enough to get you in the habit of writing down questions every morning. Just imagine you're meeting with somebody. What questions would you want to ask? Okay, of others.
I think it's important, Greg, too, that some of the stuff that you and I talked about reach outs and approach and it being a meaningful conversation and living in that possibility with people who are a prospective consultant, in that you want them to share with you who they are and what they want from life and why you're even sitting there with them to begin with. And what brought you here today? What issues or what concerns are you having in your life that you feel as though you need a business?
Yeah, so form all that. So everything you just said, Ellen, put it in a question for us. That's perfect.
How can the consultants connect with that prospective consultant and understand them more to get them to talk more deeply about what they want.
Beautiful, beautiful. Got it. It's a great question. Great question. So here's my thinking around that. Okay, and I'm really glad that you asked that. I think what would help the consultants is to understand what it means to be a human being and what we all have in common. Okay? And if you just understood that, your reach outs and your approach would be super helpful. Okay? Now, I'm going to suggest this, that everybody wants a better quality of life. That's it. Okay? Now, if you really got that at a deep level, that everybody wants a better quality of life, okay? Now, people might be putting on a tough guy approach or a tough girl approach or I got it all together or not for me or whatever. But if you just ignored all of that and understand that people have all kinds of protective mechanisms and understand the common denominator that we all share in common is everybody wants a better quality of life in their own estimation, in their own definition. And as lifestyle consultants, it's just we have an opportunity and a real gift to help people give a voice to that, to give them permission to speak into that. And that's a real gift. It's a real gift. And I'm going to suggest that the fulfillment and the reward as a consultant isn't only in our paychecks, but it's in this gift of helping people awaken and give them permission to speak to, maybe for the first time in a long time, what a better quality of life would look like for them. Okay? All right? Now the other thing is, if all the consultants understood as human beings, many of us are being run by our fears and our insecure thinking. Now, when I saw that, it just gave me a much greater sense of compassion for people. I didn't see people as angry or resentful or argumentative or any of that. I just go, wow. I imagine this person's quality of life isn't so great. And I imagine that they have no idea that their thinking is creating their experience. Okay? And the most compassionate thing is just creating an opening for people to talk. So, to summarize that, I would say what would really help a consultant is to understand, like for me, I understand that business people like yourselves, you want your business to be better. Everybody wants their business to be better on this call. Okay? And everybody wants a higher quality of life. Okay? If you just remember those two things and are like a pit bull and don't let it go, and don't get distracted by all the behavior and all of the pushback, if you will. If you just remember those two things, I think that would be really helpful as a consultant. It is for me as a coach. That's really helpful for me. Like I know that, even somebody. Now here's a really interesting thing. You may meet people who are really successful or have a lot of money that would be great for the business. Now, innocently, you could think, well, they don't need anything. I'm going to suggest to you that even those people are looking for a better quality of life. Okay? I don't care who you are, what you have, what you do. At the underneath all of us, we continue to strive for a better quality of life. Okay? Now, to me, that makes a real big difference in my relating with human beings. So does that help at all, Ellen? Do you think that would help your consultant?
Yeah, awesome.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I have one more quick question,
Yes,
if
Monique.
you don't mind.
Yeah.
And I apologize. I'm looking forward to hearing your answer because my phone is about to die.
Okay.
But when you're saying to be appreciative and listen to everyone's qualities and see it to where they have this opportunity. However, with the other hat with this job is to grow a team. How are you able to select and be a little judgmental on who you do want on your team and who you don't want without having that judgment and unequal sense of what you just said? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. So, sometimes the best fruit is the fruit highest on the tree. Okay? But often what happens is we pick the low-hanging fruit. Okay? And it's not always the best. All right? So Ellen and I were talking about you have to be able to distinguish minnows from whales or ponies from stallions. Okay? And know the difference. Okay? Like, one of the things, Monique, is I'm really clear I can help anybody. Okay? I can help anybody. I can help everybody, quite frankly. But what really slowed me down is I tried to help everybody instead of getting really clear about who I wanted to work with. Okay? And set a bar high enough, okay, that I was only working with those. Okay? And so that, at least for me, that was the challenge, is that, I mean, even to today, you know, if I kind of feel compelled to return everybody's calls and get back to people, even if they're, you know, then that's just me, okay? I still have that nagging voice within me of not letting people down, okay? All right? Now, that doesn't serve me. And that's my own insecure thinking sometimes, like, well, I don't want that person to think I'm just in it for the money or whatever. That's my own insecure thinking, okay? But I would suggest that, and here's the other thing, the more you're in touch with your own confidence, like we talked about earlier, and your own inner wisdom, let that guide you in terms of who you put energy into and not, because you have your own wisdom. Like, you know, like, intuitively, okay? Or, you know, and that's for all of us. We all have a built-in design for success. We have a built-in design to evaluate true from false, from a bullshitter, from somebody who's real. We all have that built-in design, but our insecure thinking sometimes overrides that, and then we end up doing something that we knew we shouldn't do. So the quieter our mind is, that's the clarity I'm talking about. That's the wisdom that comes through that says, you know, I don't know what it is about this person. They really don't look like a stallion on the outside, but I really believe in this person. Somebody else would say, you're wasting your time, but for whatever reason, you really believe in this person, and you run with it, and sure enough, that, you know, they blossom. Somebody else, you go, wow, on paper they really look good, but you have your own inkling and your own inner wisdom, and you go, no, I'm not feeling it here. Okay, all right. Like I've had people wanted to pay me really big bucks before, and I just wasn't feeling the love, and I didn't feel the connection. I walked away from the deals just because I didn't feel like it was going to bring out my best work. I felt like something was off. Now that's rare for me, but I honor that. Okay, and I would say that, you know, there's two answers I would say. One, get clear on what a stallion is for you, and what a time waster is. Get clear on that. Get it on paper. All right, like for me, if I was you, I'd be looking for people who have a strong network, who have a large social following. Okay, somebody's got 100 friends on Facebook, probably not a stallion. All right, somebody who's had a leadership position, or somebody who's an ex-professional volleyball player. somebody who knows what it takes to succeed. Those are qualities, all right? Like a lot of companies, pharmaceutical companies or whatever, they focus on hiring collegiate athletes. Why? Because they're stallions. They have a different mindset. They persevere. They don't say screw it and leave, So number one, get clear on what a stallion is for you, okay? And then number two is just learn to trust your own innate wisdom, okay? Moment to moment to moment, okay? And that's really it. Trust yourself, So did that answer your question, Monique? Did that answer your question? Was it helpful?
Yeah, I was just going to say too, Greg, is you want to love them all the same. Whether they're a stallion or a pony, they're still like children to me in the way, you still love all of your children, whether they're the middle child, oldest, or the youngest, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And, some are just going to run faster, some are going to run slower, and you just have to believe in them, and that's all that's going to really matter to them in the end, is that someone believed in me.
Yeah. That's true. Now, this stallion metaphor is really appropriate because the opening day of the Del Mar races in my backyard just opened yesterday, okay? Now, if I went to, I live here, and not far from me there's horse stables. Now, if I went over here and got a horse over here in the horse stables and took it to Del Mar racetrack, okay, would you bet on the pony that I put on at the gates, or would you bet on one of the race horses to win? Okay? So one's going to bring in prize money and the other isn't. Okay? And so, that's another kind of evaluator. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to surround yourself with stallions. Okay? Now, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be ponies around you, but here's the challenge with ponies. They take a lot of time. They're really expensive to be around, okay? And there's not a big payoff. Okay, so that's the difference with ponies. We still love ponies, don't get me wrong. And if you're a pony listening to this call, understand that you can be a stallion. It's more about a mindset of just raising the bar. Okay? So I hope that helped, Monique. All right. Anything else, Ellen, that you wanted to touch on?
I think we're at an hour, okay. So probably
so
not.
I want to leave it. I want to leave this. I want everybody listening here. And Ellen, you and I talked a little bit about this, and I really want to encourage everybody to consider this and take this on. There's so many different challenges out there on the internet. There's the 22 push-up challenge to support suicide in the military. There's, the 30-day 100 squat challenge to tighten up your buns. There's the ab challenge, the pull-up challenge. Well, I want to suggest doing the reach-out challenge. Okay? For you, your team, everybody around you. And you can make it up any way you want, whether it be a 21-day challenge or a 30-day challenge, and get and commit to X number of reach outs within that period of time. Okay? And get your butts out of the stands and onto the field as consultants. And the way that you do that is the reach out challenge, from my point of view. Okay? Now, there's a couple different types of reach outs, in my opinion. There's the reach out for the what I would call a direct sale. Okay? There's a reach out for a business partner. There's a reach out for a referral partner. And then there's a reach out, what I call a love contact, to an existing consultant. All right? So that should be part of your system. Okay? So you could say Mondays are my reach outs to end users or direct sales, product. I'm going to do reach outs on Monday for product. I'm going to do a reach out on Tuesdays is my reach out to business people. Talk about business people. Wednesdays is my reach out to referral partners. Who would be a really good referral partner for me to cultivate a relationship that could refer people to me? And then Thursdays is my reach out calls to my team or something like that. So you make it up however you want, but you gotta be in the reach out game. All right. And so that's my kind of closing thoughts here to kind of put the fire under all of you, myself included. I do this myself. Okay, I do reach outs myself. I have 2 forms. I have phone calls and emails, and maybe we can talk about that at another time. But so, anyways.
So I was going to break it down. The numbers real quick is 20 days. Mm-hmm. If we do 20 days at 5 reach outs a day, that's 100 people.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
So, and then I thought we could break it down even more. I'd love to see people reach out to 50 new people and 50 existing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Ellen. What I would suggest is getting with each consultant, and you could share that. Like this is how I see it. I think that your business would really benefit with this type of strategy, and then you ask them how they see it and what they'd be willing to do. Okay? So you want it to come from the consultant rather than you as the leader, Ellen, saying, here's the game, so to speak. But you have them create their own reach out challenge. Okay? So for some people it'll be 100. Some people it may be 200 or 300. You don't want to get in the way of any of those stallions, all right, and limit them to 100. But you want to kind of encourage them to stretch and take a bit of a risk. Okay? Some people may do 50. Some people may do 20. But you just want to get everybody in that game of doing reach outs. Okay? That's my 2 cents worth. Okay? Now, you can, if you feel called to say, hey, I want to do the 21 day or the 20 day and it's 100 or 5 each day and that makes 100, you can do that too. Okay? But what I've found too is you really have to have people's ownership in that. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay?
And it's limiting, like you said. It could be 200 or 300, so.
Yeah. Cool. So, great. Anybody else have any thoughts, comments, or closing questions? Closing comments?
I wanted to say something.
Yes, please.
I remember the last time that Ellen shared her session with me. Remember that day?
Yes.
A couple of months ago. Mm-hmm. What made an impact on me is when you said, Virginia, if there's one thing I want you to take from today's session is walk around like if you're a gift. I did. It changed. I mean, Ellen can tell you how I blossomed, how I changed. My whole life changed. And I added more to it. I said, I'm working around like if I'm a gift, because I am. I make people feel good when I meet them. I always try to help them in any way that I can. And then I added to it, I go, and I'm walking around like if I have a gift for them, which is this opportunity. It's a gift.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to say.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you. I'm really happy to hear that. I'm glad that helped.
Yeah, nice about that too. It's just a whole nother perspective of looking at it, because sometimes consultants will think, I have this thing, I have to tell people about it, but when it's already innate in you, and this is something that Greg talks about a lot, is it's already in you. We were talking about confidence. It's already there. You just have to believe it's there, and then that's what's going to shine, is the fact that you are the gift and you have a gift. And when you just live that and breathe that and know it, it's just going to be a part of you. And that really changed my life too, Greg. So thank you.
Awesome. You're very welcome. It was a pleasure being with you all today, and I think Ellen and I are looking at continuing and doing more of these. So what I would suggest in the future, if you have something very specific, a question, something you're struggling with, or you'd like some help, scripting, dialoguing, role-playing, or whatever, let Ellen know. We'll get those questions together, whatever it is, and we'll do a specific call with your most burning questions. So how does that sound?
Awesome.
Yeah? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's a wrap for today. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great week.
Thanks for participating. Love it. Bye, guys.
Hi, Ellen.